Okay. Now are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So I'm Dr. Kashanuddin Niazi. I'm a family physician, and today we are going to discuss constipation, right? So the objective of this presentation is: have you ever been exposed to constipation condition in your module earlier? Do you have an idea what constipation is? Okay. The objective of the presentation is we'll define constipation, what are the risk factors, and then management. So we define constipation as historically, previously it was defined as less than 3 bowel movements per week, but frequency exactly is not very necessary. But now they have come across a very extensive definition which says that greater than two of the six, greater than two of the following, greater than 6 months is required to make a diagnosis. So they're complex because constipation is quite complex, and it's just infrequent stools, because it can have one normal, as a normal defecation reflex, one per week is even normal, or twice per day, even some for some people it's normal. So if there is straining, if there is lumpiness, if there is sensation of incomplete evacuation, sensation of obstruction, manual maneuvers, and less than 3 defecations per week, then if any of the two from these following is persistent, you can make a diagnosis of constipation. And constipation is usually a clinical diagnosis. It does not require any tests to diagnose. Risk factors: increasing age, female gender,
Sorry, doctor.
yeah,
Just some girls want to enter this class.
yeah.
Can you admit the girls?
Okay, okay, just a minute. All right. Okay. So now the if you say constipation, there are a lot of risk factors. Nursing homes, low socioeconomic, decreased physical activity, low fluid intake. Smoke is actually inverse association, because smoke is actually reduces the constipation. Alcohol also reduces the constipation, and there are some medications which causes the constipation. Medications associated with the constipation is calcium channel blockers, antidepressants, opiates, anticholinergics, yani analgesics, anti-Parkinsonisms, diuretics. So these are all points in your history taking. If you're dealing a patient with the constipation, you need to ask these factors as a constipation factors which are contributing towards it, and try to eradicate and address those issues. If the you need to ask some medications, the patient is taking these medications or not. The clinical bottom line is increasing the age with the comorbids and the medications is are going to, and the kind of diet you are taking is going to lead towards constipation. So these all are very important when you are making a diagnosis of constipation. So constipations are of different types, which is normal transit. That means the constipation is there, but the time is not very increased. Slow transit means is when the time is very decreased. Just a minute, I have a call. Hello. Yeah. Yes, yes, please. Alhamdulillah. Sorry, 1080. 1080. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so there is pelvic floor dysfunctioning. So there is another dysnergetic defecation. So there are a lot of pathogenesis involved in constipation. So characteristics obviously the same: hard stools, sensation of blockage. Sometimes there is leading towards diarrhea. The alarming signs are very important. So you need to know about whether the patient has a history of rectal bleeding or weight loss or family history of cancer. So these are all alarming signs which you should know when you are dealing with constipation. History, duration of the symptoms, and age onset. So you're taking the history, the what are the medication that the patient is getting, is there any sexual abuse, is there any bowel or diet problems. On physical examination, you will do abdominal examination and rectal examination in order to get to the diagnosis of constipation. um, when you are dealing with constipation, diet and lifestyle is something which is crucial in your it should be crucial in your history taking. And you also need to exclude some structural causes, neurological causes, to find out the cause of to find out the management to cause, and then manage the constipation. So there are other causes like endocrinological causes, hypothyroidism, even hyperthyroidism, some metabolic causes like CKDs, some myopathies, depression, sarcoidosis. These are all clinical conditions leading towards constipation. So these are all comorbids. Role of the diagnostic test? No, there is no diagnostic test to perform for the constipation, although you can do some CBC and you can do some stool for occult blood for detection of any danger signs if you think that there are some other causes of constipation. So you can do these invasive tests, but these are not very suggestive of, they are not very recommended for these tests to do. Okay, now when do you want to some colonoscopy is required in some cases if there are red flags present or the patient is of greater 50, or if you suspect anything suspicious, you can do those tests to actually rule out other conditions which are causing constipation. Constipation, you need to take comprehensive history, need to do physical examination, and then you need to treat recommendations. Yani treatment recommendations are initiate the before you go into the to the therapeutical agent. You need to counsel him about the lifestyle, dietary habits, and then you need to discontinue some medications if you think that there are medications causing the constipation, and then you can add some drugs. So in order to get a good approach to the constipation, you need to actually understand the whole phenomena of constipation. You need to evaluate the cause in the patient and then rectify that particular cause. What is the role of dietary thing? If the patient is having increased fiber, increased fluid intake is the main therapy. This is we are talking about non-pharmacological treatment. We need to educate the patient about soluble versus non-insoluble fibers, so that the patient can include these items in in their diet so that it decreases the constipation. Fluid intake, and patient may not need fiber supplement plus increase fluids if they can increase their intake of their source of fibers. So one is the fluid intake and the other is the fiber intake. If the patient is able to do that, he can overcome the problem of constipation. If you see the mechanisms, there are stool bulking agents which are good for relieving constipation. What they do is they increase the bulk so that it will defecate smoothly. Some stimulants, they increases the motility. Some have this effect of osmotic agents which draws the fluid into the lumen, which causes the bulk. Some are prokinetic agents and some are secretory agents which we use to relieve the constipation. So these are some non-pharmacological prescriptions: castor oil, fibers, laxatives, magnesium. So these are all available tools for relieving the constipation. If these, if these non-pharmacological treatments are not useful, then you can add some osmotic agents like lactulose, sorbitol, and agents targeting the cellular mechanisms, chloride channels. So these are all receptor antagonists. So these are all pharmacological treatment you can initiate in order to relieve constipation. But these measures are always temporary, and you need to find out the long-term causes in order to relieve the constipation for long-term purposes. There are many over-the-counter prescriptions available. and avoid some medications like sodium phosphate based compounds can cause crystalline neuropathies, magnesium based products if there is creatinine is getting very high, so you need to take care of these agents while you are using for constipation. If the patient has diabetes and the constipation, you also need to focus on glycemic control. And if the patient has multiple sclerosis and constipation, you also need to treat. Treatment can lead to incontinence due to alteration in the rectal sensation. So, if the patient has diabetes and multiple sclerosis, you need to consider these medical conditions, and it may actually complicate the condition of constipation. So, you need to be very careful while dealing with patient with constipation and diabetes and multiple sclerosis. In elderlies, if you're dealing with constipation in the elderly patient, the etiology is usually different. You need to be very careful about what kind of medication you are giving, because elderly patients are very sensitive, and they may can overreact with these medications, and they can cause diarrhea, which causes increased fluid and increased fluid loss, and which will cause dehydration and further complicate the condition. So they have medical functional issues which can aggravate the problems. Laxative can cause the sense of urgency. Educate the patients about the adverse effect. Let me accept another student. Okay. All right. So we have discussed up till now these special conditions in the constipation. So why should clinicians consult other when there is a so for the constipation? If you want to, yeah, when are you going to involve another specialist like gastroenterologist for colonoscopy for unexplained iron deficiency anemia? If you want some urogynecologist, depending on what is the cause of the constipation. If you think that there is pelvic floor dysfunctioning, you can involve urogynecologist. If you think that patient needs dietary advice, you can advise you can admit dietitians into the plan. If you wanted to do colonoscopy, you can involve gastroenterologist. So depending on what is the cause of the constipation, you can involve the other persons. So how should clinicians counsel the patient? Educate about the etiology, explain the role. So these are all non-pharmacological approach. Educate the patient, explain the role of fibers, options for increasing the fiber intake, focuses on reasonable goal setting. So you need to sit with the patient and set the goals which are reasonable. You need to provide education about the medications, and you need to set clear medication adjustment guidelines. So patient should know clearly when is the time to take the medication and when is the time not to take the medication and what are the side effects. So education, getting to the etiology, and explaining the role of fibers is a mainstay for managing patient with constipation. So the clinical bottom line is treatment requires attention, which is lifestyle habits. So this is non-pharmacological. You need to address lifestyle habits like toileting practice, like diet, like activities. So you need to concentrate on these non-pharmacological measures in order to get long-term results. And you also need to see what are the medications that the patient is on and try to taper it down, and explain that these are the medications which are causing the constipation, so in order to decrease these medications. The treatment of the constipation should be individualized, because every person is a different identity, and according to the each patient circumstances, each patient's etiology, each patient's comfort level, you need to tailor the medications and tailor the management of constipation. So always select a non-prescription medications as the first line option, and then escalate to the prescription-based remedies if needed. Because all the pharmacological modalities that we discussed up till now has some of the other are affecting has the adverse effects. So you need to the mainstay should be lifestyle modification and dietary modifications, and then you can use some of the pharmacological measures in order to decrease the constipation. So that's a very brief presentation. That's all about constipation. So first, if anyone can get what is the take-home message with this constipation? What did you learn in this presentation? If anyone could summarize this as as my presentation about constipation, what do you learn from this presentation? What did you learn? Yeah.
Every patient is different, so the treatment, the consulting other specialists, it depends on the case of the patient, and we should minimize treatments that are pharmacological in order to minimize the side effects.
Yes, great. So you need to tailor the medication plan according to the treatment. And how can you define constipation? Any what when do you say that the patient has constipation? Does anyone any idea?
If he has more than two for 3 months, the last 3 months.
Good, good, very nice. So constipation is now defined very complexly, and it should have all these. It can have all these features like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So based on these 6 criteria, if the patient has only two, and it is for 3 months with symptoms onset and 6 months prior to the diagnosis, then you can label it as constipation, not just decreased bowel movements or less than 3 defecations per week. This is only one criteria, but it's not the one. Because the defecation pattern is different from different individuals. So whenever the patient says I have constipation, you need to ask the patient to explain what does he mean by constipation, or what is his perception of constipation. Maybe that perception is going to change. So this is very important in diagnosis. And then we have non-pharmacological, pharmacological tests in order to manage the constipation. All right. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, this is the final call for my presentation. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a nice day, and best of luck.